Hey there guys, Tony here. Today I'm doing another, well not another, it's the first time I've done this, but a top tips and tricks for building. Woo! Yeah. Okay. Such enthusiasm in that. Okay, first, number one tip and trick for building. Okay. Now, when you build a good like elevation for a house, like one floor of a house, I would recommend is building with 6 blocks. And I realize I haven't finished filling in this floor yet. Okay, the reason why I would do 6 blocks is so that you can have 4 blocks of building space downstairs, so like furnishing and all that. So I'll give you a good example of that in a minute. And then the other 2 blocks are used for a ceiling block and a floor and a flooring block for the next story. If you're going to do like only one story, it doesn't really matter unless you're going to unless you have like a roof or something like that. So if you're having like 4 blocks worth of space, you can make it easier for you to like build, like not build but furnish. That's what I was looking for. I think I already said that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Okay, so that's one tip. That's one tip done. Tip 2. Okay, build with 2 blocks as a flooring if you're doing more than one floors. This is because you need, like I explained before, you need a ceiling block and a flooring block. Let me just go find one. I'm just going up my little elevator thing. Okay, I'm going up here, so just wait. Here, so 2 blocks thick. So floor, ceiling. The reason why you have a ceiling block is so that you can put lights in without having to worry about them coming through the floor and like maybe covering up with carpet or furnishing. Just trying to remember. I had like mapped these out in my heads. Oh yeah. When building with modern houses, it's a good idea to, if you're new to building with modern houses, it's a good idea to Google some images before you build with modern houses. Because what's good, some people like just dive into modern house without researching what they look like. In fact, this goes with all builds. So a good example would be So a good example would be if you try to build like my little mansion here, you could have royally screwed this up. If I could have royally screwed this up more than I probably have. This little dome part here, if I had researched it. Did some more research. Like I saw this. For another example is when I was like doing some research stuff, I saw something similar to this when I was going through Google Images trying to build another house. So I thought hey, I might use this. Well, yeah, that's that done. That's tip 3 done. Tip 4. Okay, build in the same theme as primarily the rest of the builds around you, or your no, not that. Just build in the same theme as the rest of the builds around here. So like my sister had built this. What tip are we on? I think we're on tip 4. Built this. It was going to be her house originally, but then she moved on and just made it as a park, which we have no entrance to. Well, because for obvious reasons, it isn't really much of a suitable house thing. Unless you're playing survival, then that would make a nice house. Yeah. Okay. Tip 5. Take advantage of your landscape. Like, over here. This was all like steep slopes here, but then I was able to make it into a garden. And so yeah, it just makes it look more pretty and so. Yeah, I haven't got much more to say about that for some reason. Just taking advantage of your landscape will help you with a lot of stuff. Like, for example, if you're coming over a cliff, you can have an overhang and then you're able to put like support stilts here. Example here would be another one of my sister's other house that she uses in this world. And over here, like if you shave off some parts and you can make like a kind of little beach thing that my friend Daniel over here, Dan Games YT, that's his name. If you want to go check out his channel, you're welcome, Daniel. I shouted you out. Okay. I think there's a tip about like something over here that I had planned out. No, it wasn't. Ah, yes, it's over and around where I'm building my airport. Tip 6. Once again, if you have a large amount it's kind of like taking advantage of your landscape again, but slightly different. If you have a large open area that you are not going to use, like a large lake or something, and you want to just expand your city and not build around it, build over it, and don't bother filling in underneath either. Like I had this large lake out here, and I wanted to build an airport, so I've been slowly building an airport. I got the airstrip, taxiway, off topic. But either way, so I had this large lake here. I wanted to build something large and useful with it. So that's what I did. I covered it up, and I only had to terraform a small amount. Well, maybe a large amount. And I still have more terraforming to do. That's off topic. Tip 6 is up next. I'll just go trying to remember which one it is. Yeah, I'll be back in a minute. And I figured out what tip 6 is. Okay, if you're building with more rustic style houses, slamming in them in the middle of a city is not a good idea. Like if you're building rustic style houses, build it around other rustic style houses, or in a kind of foresty area. Like I got more rustic houses around here. Like one of my houses, Abby's houses. One of mine, for some reason, I wanted to do modern when I told myself I want to stick with rustic around here. Rustic. Yep, Daniel S's, Dan Game YT's version of rustic, what he's trying to do. Friend Lachlan, Blackberry and Orvid Silver, check out their channel too. One of his trying to do rustic, it's good for him. Like he put detail in with buttons, and I'm actually really glad he did that detail. But either way, yes. Now another tip 7: if you're going to build a beach line, a good idea would be to fill in a decent amount of land instead of get rid of the grass and fill in with beach. If you're going to have like a beachfront somewhere. Pardon me, that was tip 7, wasn't it? Yes. Damn it, I can't remember again. God. Can't remember. Oh yes, tip. That was 7. Was this tip something? So, tip 6. That was. Oh, yep. This is tip 8. Okay, tip 8. Okay, add greenery. Greenery to your houses looks good, especially if you're building with a bland color. It's like I had a lot of grey in here, but I put some greenery in here, and it looks nicer. Like just didn't ignore the glowstone that catches your eye first. Like up here, I put plants and greenery through most of my houses as a furnishing item. It just adds stuff to it, makes it look nicer. See, like these plants up here look so much nicer. It adds color and all that. Did I put something in the toilet or in my room? No, I didn't. Okay, which brings me on to tip 8. Remember to furnish. Furnishing your house is also important. I didn't furnish up here. Alright, furnishing your house is a good idea, and there's multiple different tutorials on YouTube that you can use for furnishing. This is tip 8. Yep. And then if you furnishing your house will add that feel to it, especially if you like going with like a kind of rustic style or a modern style. I don't know why I put a modern bed in here when it's a rustic style house. Just ignore it. Just accept it. Love it. Yeah. So also with furnishing, stick to the same genre, like rustic or modern, like I think I just said before. Yeah, I think I just said before. Tip 9: if you're building with rustic style houses, like a lot of rustic style houses that you'll see will have like a kind of basement or a cellar, like I have here. And you can also furnish it in multiple different ways as long as it suits the same theme. Like I got all these kegs and barrels around for like as a cellar kind of thing, crates, shelves, chests. Yeah, I think that's it for tip. Yeah, that's all for tip 9. What else? Oh yes, tip 10: stick with your block palette. Okay, for example, if you're gonna go with if you're building with browns, it's a good idea to change up your. It's a good idea to change it up, but not change it up too much. So if you're building with browns, like they're an earthy color, so build with more earthy colors like greens and greys and browns, and then can splash in that bit of white there, because like I like my white glass panes. white glass panes and black glass panes. They look nice, especially on modern builds. Yes, so stick with your block palette. So if you were to, so what's a good idea? So like a lot of modern houses usually build have greys and whites and stuff. But if you were to like slam some, like just out of nowhere, just slam some like prismarine. Like I wanted to build something like that, add some detail out of prismarine because you think it looks cool. No, big no, don't do that. Big no. What was I building last? I think I built that last. Yep. Okay. That was tip 10. Okay, tip 11. Don't build out of any of these blocks. Do not build don't build a little house made out of iron blocks and emerald blocks and all that. Just because they're valuable, they're not a good looking block. Like here, I'm just gonna quickly build this little house here. Like a lot of beginners, including me, I did this, built out of these blocks, and they looked horrible. I went back in my memory of some worlds that I played with a friend, and how we used these blocks, and it looked terrible. Like terrible, plain, just built out of emeralds, and to say the least. Like, this is already going horrible. Also, if you somehow manage to accumulate all these blocks in survival and build a house out of them to show that you're rich, you're gonna lose all of them, and you're gonna probably cry in a corner and be like, why? And I'll be there in your head saying, well, it's because you built out of these. Look at it! It's horrible, and just add that bit of glass. Horrible. That goes the same with redstone blocks. I didn't put any redstone in here, like redstone blocks in there. Yeah, use redstone blocks to build out of redstone blocks. And that's it. Yep, that's about it. So, thanks for watching, guys. Remember to leave a like and subscribe, and don't build like this, please. Just never, ever